IntelliJ quick, and then I'll start sharing screen. Beautiful. Share screen. All right. Perfect timing, David. Just so you know, we are already recording. You just made it for the time for the coding session. You didn't miss anything on new code. All right. No one ever told me that I spelled fruit wrong there. Fun. So the first one, actually, we're going to get into, this one was actually the easiest to do.
Mm-hmm.
This one should have been a single line. If not, you overcomplicated it. We already have a product, which is what we need for our list. And so we can simply just do inventory, add product. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So once you know these two, once you know how to solve one of them, the second one becomes easier to solve. And so in this one, I said you can't about, I forgot to add this bit of code, this line to the assignment. So I'm wondering how many of you actually remembered it. But one of the rules of this was that you weren't allowed to delete any code, but you could add a code anywhere you wanted. So you could add more code, but you couldn't delete anything. Did anyone forget that rule and delete stuff? Or did we actually keep that rule?
I renamed the two methods when I was done. Does that count?
Nah, that's fine. As long as they were the same method because they wanted overloads. They were still all the same variable. They were all the same method name though, right?
No, that's what I mean. I renamed the methods.
No, I wanted overloading.
You want overloading though.
Damn it. All right, never mind.
All good. That's fine. That's why I was, yeah, that's why I was trying to put. So yeah, technically the rule was, yeah, don't change the existing code, but you can add code. Because I wanted overloading. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have to do this new drink. Well, what do I need in order to make a drink?
Argument.
I need the parameters, right? And in this case, we have the two versions where we have the name, price, ID, description, volume, and volume unit and string, or volume unit and int. So remember that was the index of the volume unit or the string of the volume unit. So if I bring my drink over here just so I can see it better, we either need to put one of these in there or the index of one of them. And so to do that, I need to get that information, right? I could, of course, statically enter data, but that means I'm going to enter one item every time I add a drink. It's going to be the same item every time, right?
Mm-hmm.
By hard code milk in here, well, yes, that's going to fit the requirements. That means every time I add a drink, I'm always going to add milk, right? That's not what I want, is it? So in order to get the information I need, where can I get the information?
From the method call.
All right, I could ask the method, I could get it sent in via the method. So the method can require those items as their parameters. Some of you could be like, oh, I can get the scanner, which true, you could, but in more common systems, a separate entity would be in charge of getting data. This goal of this item is not to create the item necessarily, but to add the item already. So the idea is we already have the item. How this is worded is kind of like add to inventory, meaning it kind of sounds like we already have this item. So here we're going to do string name. Right, okay, string name. We need name, price. So int price. We need an ID plus a string. We need a string description. Volume. VU, that is used so I can keep it from being too long. I'm going to send those in through here. And again, I could create the overloaded version of this. I could do string as a string or int. What I could also do is assume that by the time it gets to this, I've converted the string to the index if I wanted to. So I can also assume that by the time it hits this method, I've already converted the string to a index, right? I could always assume that if I wanted to. So I'm actually going to still use the int instead of the VU because that makes my life easier. So we're going to do name, price, ID, description, volume, and BU. Spaces. There. And that's the code. That's all you need to add was just the parameters. Because once we've built the drink, we could just send that drink because it is a product. Drink is a product. So drink can be sent to add to inventory and then add it to the list. And so it's already good to go. That's why we can reuse this by not needing to then, because then, we don't need to redo this inventory add line of code here. We don't have to redo that code every single time. Yeah, we're not saving much code. So maybe we're like, we're not really saving much code because we're doing this instead of this, which very true. It's not saving much, but the idea is just, again, to reduce that repetition. And in case we do want to put any sort of logic in front of the added inventory, like, hey, if this item already exists, don't add it, right? We could always decide to check, hey, if this item exists in our inventory, don't add it. We already have one. So we could add some logic to it later on. Let's do a quick one of this, the fruit. So what I'm actually going to do this is I'm going to cheat a little bit. Bring over my fruit here. I'm just going to go ahead and take the parameters inside the constructor for fruit and throw that in here. Then I can just do name, price, ID, description, and hardness. Cool. Good.
What happened to your throttle on your typing too fast?
I've gotten better at it. I guess it's time to admit now. Some of you might have been looking into it and trying to figure out what is he using. I actually haven't used anything. I mentioned earlier that there were the different keyboard layouts.
Yeah.
I switched myself over to Colmac and I'm getting faster at it.
Oh, wow.
So I'm using the Colmac Mac layout of the keyboard now. And yeah, when I first started it, my typing speed was only 20 words per minute with a fairly high inaccuracy. And now I'm actually at a 50 words per minute.
All right, then change it. Change it to another one.
No, because that's actually going to be worse again. I'm actually going to have to do like blind. I'm going to have to like peck and switch and peck.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm getting better at it. So one thing I say,
Awesome.
people, take the time, go through if you're worried about your typing speed, 30 minutes a day, even 15 minutes a day. Use one of the typing tools out there. Practice your typing skill. Get into blind typing. One, it just looks cool for you as a developer. It makes you look more like a computer person, for one. And two, it can save you some time in the algorithm phrase. If you're timed, if you can save a little time by being able to type stuff quickly, you have more time to solve the problem. So I do find it as a beneficial item. Like I said, you can use it as kind of your warm up before you start coding. 15 minutes on one of the typing practice places, practice typing blindly. Don't look at the keyboard. All it is muscle memory. There's no learning the keyboard. You're just developing muscle memory. I would love, if you know of someone who actually does blind type, other than yourself, but someone else, if they're sitting in front of a computer, ask them where a certain key is, and you will see them do this in the air. Like they can't actually tell you where it is. Their finger knows where it is. And that's the main thing to keep in mind. I don't, technically a person who's blind types doesn't actually know where the key is on the keyboard. They just know that their finger knows. So when they say, I need to type the R key, their finger just moves to the R key. They don't actually know where it is though. So I can guarantee you, especially the funnest thing to do is to find a blind typer and ask them what are the top, what is the home row of the keyboard, or what are the top row of the keyboard? What are the letters on the top row of the keyboard? I can guarantee you they'll either have to look or they're going to sit there and think for a couple minutes. And you're going to see their hands moving as they think about it. So
It increases your typing when you play games in the dark.
yeah, and it allows you to be able to type in the dark.
Exactly.
I'm a late night developer, 100%. So it's funny when my wife comes out and is like, "Do you need a light on?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." My keyboard lights up, and two, I don't look at it. I don't need the light. I just lose the screen.
I know what the WASD is.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely feel free to, again, that's not a skill you have to learn, but there are some benefits to it. And for some of you, maybe it can be a great way to kind of warm up and get into the coding zone so that you're already typing, you're getting ready. So
I did
Something
an
to consider.
interview that they checked how many words you could type a minute.
Some places can do that. They technically don't, but they might. I can't deny that that could be a deciding factor. That if you're equal skill as another person, but that person can type faster, they may go for that person because they can get more done possibly. So do be aware that that is a marketable item. Being able to type in an efficient manner, not necessarily fast, but efficiently, it can be a factor in your hiring process, definitely. So it wouldn't hurt once or twice a week to just get 15 minutes of practice in. Again, for anyone who, again, was curious about it or interested, the site I used to practice Colmark was one I showed earlier, Typing Club. So right here, see here, I used the Colmark Mac lesson plan. The Typing Jungle is the one for the standard keyboard layout for QWERTY. I will say that for Windows users, Colmac does not come pre-built into the system. You have to install something for it. Colmac is built into Mac. But you can learn the standard QWERTY keyboard and you'll be fine. Because if you do learn the Colmac and you do have to code another person's computer, you have to switch the keyboard, and that can be a little weird for some people. Most developers won't care. Like, you do? They'll actually probably ask you about how do you learn? How do you do that? That might be an interesting conversation, but feel free to just do the Typing Jungle. It's fine. Learn the standard QWERTY keyboard. Don't worry about messing around with this stuff you don't want to. I wanted to because I was already fast with QWERTY. I couldn't get faster with it, so I wanted to see if I can go Colmac to start getting a little faster.
How do you doing this Colmac on your computer?
Right up here on the Mac, you could just
Yeah, but what about your physical keyboard? That's not changed, right?
No, I don't look at it though. I don't care what it says.
Oh.
I don't care what the keyboard says. It could
be blank.
Yeah, I could have Greek
There are
characters
some
on it.
nice blank keyboards that look
Yeah,
really
you can
good.
buy blank keyboard. You can have one all black with nothing on them.
Yeah, I keep the letters on it because in case someone
Never.
else needs to use my keyboard, I can put it on US and I can put it on the normal QWERTY keyboard, and someone else can use my keyboard. So I do like the letters on the keyboard because someone else can then come and use it, but I don't use the letters myself. So yeah, it's called software adjustment though, just to be in mind. Like if I do boot my Mac into like the BIOS or something like that, it would be a QWERTY setup because it's the keyboard I have is a QWERTY hardwired keyboard, but the Mac system here takes the inputs and reads them as Colmac. So yeah, just go into it. It shows you stats of how your speed is. So you can see how fast you're typing, where your strength and weaknesses are. It's got a good amount of stats. So just come in, yeah. Gives you the home keys, gives you little mini games and stuff. It is free. They offer additional lessons for like I think it's like $5 or something like that, or $2-3 a month or something like that, or you pay for a year and get it for like $30. But it's 100% free otherwise if you want. They just have some ads that can make the site a little laggy. But overall, it's fine. Yeah. Anyway, back to the code. So yeah, unfortunately, Keith, yeah, I can't really throttle myself anymore.
Yeah.
I expected it to keep me slowed down a little longer, but it's I'm getting the pattern down again. So I'm getting better. I still am nowhere near what I was on QWERTY at least. I want to say I was at 70 words per minute on QWERTY. So I'm still getting there, but I'm at least at 50 again, which is decent. So cool. So we have our store with the products. We have the balance of $500. We have our name of our product. We have the store. We can add the item to the inventory. All right.
Don't you have to overload these?
There are no overloads. Don't need anything like a annotation.
There are 2 drinks though.
True. If I do want people to do that, then I would need that. You're right. Yeah. If I did want the drinks people to add in either the string volume unit or the int, then I
Yeah.
would need those. I
That's
could
what I
say that
put-
the
that's what I
store requires it. Yeah. Which good. If you did that, go for it. I'm trying to keep this simple so I can get to the more important stuff we want to get to. So I want to get to the more interesting things. Yeah. So got that. Add inventory.
I did 2 methods for each because of the difference.
Yeah, that's fine. I could add those. I'm choosing not to just so we can move on to the more important stuff. I want to move away from this. I figure if once you understand these two, the next two are identical, just string here and is organic here. That's all the difference is. So sound good?
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. So we got add to inventory. We know that there's a throwaway, which is easy to add. We can throw away a product. Let's add a public void. Throw away. And I'm going to show you a cool concept called product. Let me just do inventory dot delete or remove. Remove product. And so remember, remove has an overload as well. So you can remove and give it the object that we want to remove. So you can actually give it the object you want. You can also give it the actual index or the number position of the item you want to remove as well. So I'm going to use the object overload, so I can just give it the product. So I can do an inventory.get to get the product and then remove that product somehow. And I lost somebody. Unless it was a person who messaged me 2 seconds ago to say they were leaving, they were heading out. Important.
That was Matt.
Ah, yep. Oh, yep, locked up. Okay, cool. The fact that they pinged out the second I got a ping in Slack, I was like, that seems potentially connected. So cool. All right, good to know. Awesome. Throw away. And now we want to actually get into buying stuff, right? We want to buy a product or get a product. So we might need to change it. But first, let's make sure these work. Let's do that first, actually. Let's go back to our main. Let's make sure our store works. Now we can add products. Let's go to store. Yeah, it's in the same package. So we got store. And nope, copy, nope. I can't remember what the syntax was. The shortcut to finding what I need. Just the name.
What was it? Alt P?
I thought it was, but not on Mac. I don't know what it is on Mac.
Oh.
There we go. I got string name. So what's the name of our store?
Cliffs.
Cliff store. All right. Cool. Got that. Semicolon. And then instead of doing the product here, we're just going to actually get rid of these and just do store.add to inventory. And this is where, of course, the problem we have right now is that we didn't include the item here where we can do the true or false to Boolean. We either have a string of the unit or the int, yeah, just the string version right now. So I'm just going to get rid of that and the int volume unit. So wait, what is this one? This is a fruit, right? So wait. Yeah. So that's going to be name, price, ID, description, and then hardness. There it goes. I didn't do the is organic system. So that's what I was at. It was at 7. I'll do the same thing here. Store.add to inventory. Same thing. Switch this one. Again, we didn't do the volume unit here of this one. We did the number version, so it's going to do a 0 for gallon. And I'm going to switch these to again store.add to inventory. Store.add to inventory. Let's go ahead and do store.inventory. Oh, look, I can't do that. Why not? Or can I print the
Private.
inventory?
Private.
Private, yep. So let's create a public string display inventory.
Capital S.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, I realize that. Thank you. String. Get inventory. Because again, this one's returning a string, so we want to use the get syntax. If we were just going to display, we're going to use the system out, we would do the display inventory. So get inventory, and really all I want to do here is just have it go through the inventory and use the toString method of each item in my inventory. So I want to go through each product in my inventory and get the toString method of each item and add that to an output. So output All right, so to make sure I go through the entire list of products, what do I use?
Four in.
Use 4 in, yeah.
Yeah, let's use that one. So use product. And this one again, I can use prod for the shortcut on that. It's the common shortcut for product. In.
Is it referred to as something else as well? Because like here,
The product of multiplication. Yeah. When you're trying to talk about product multiplication, the result of multiplication is called the product.
no.
Prod.
I'm talking about the 4
Right.
in loop. Is it referred to as another type of loop?
Some people call it the for each. The only reason
Yeah,
why I
the
tend
for
to not
each.
call it that because there actually is a for each method as well.
Okay,
So that can be a little confusing when you say the for each loop. Some people think you're doing the for each method. So that's why I tend to use the for in on this one just to make sure it's clear.
And you didn't use the word for, but that's probably
Oh, thank you. Wait. Oh yeah.
not there.
Is
There.
the for each kind of like the map on JavaScript?
Yeah. Yeah. Very similar. Yep. The only difference is in a for each doesn't create a new array. The map creates a new array. Just be aware of that. So the map will replace each element in the array with the result of the map function. Whereas a for each just goes through and pulls each item by one and does something. It doesn't return the returned result and overwrite the element in the array. So the map will go through and create a new array the same length.
Yeah, for each is also, isn't a for each a kind of a dot method with a lambda?
Yep. It's a method with a lambda. Yep. In both JavaScript and in Java. So, all right, so you got that. So the difference again in this one is that I can stop this midway through the list and just drop out completely with the break command. Within a for each, there is no way to stop myself from touching each and from interacting with each and every element in the list. So this I'm just going to do output plus equal prod. And again, since we're doing the plus equal, since it's a string, it's going to use the prod. There we go. Is that a problem? Oh, they want to use.
Yeah,
string
it's
builder.
it's gonna
Recommend
string them
string
all
builder,
together.
yeah. Well, it's recommending using string builder, which is something we will touch base on later. This is
There's
kind of
no
the idea of string
actually-
builder.
There's
So-
no actually goes on the background when it's concatenating.
I believe so. That's why it's telling us to just switch text. That's what's actually happening. But I didn't want to do that yet. I want to keep the syntax very clean and simple for the moment. But string builder is something we're going to get into. It gives you more power to build strings. So just be aware of that. I'm going to do that at a later point. But yeah, if you guys want to learn, if you guys do figure out how to use string builder on your own, go for it. Yeah. String builder is just a class that helps to build strings effectively and efficiently. So,
Yeah, are you printing out the whole product or just the name?
so if I do so if I grab the product and I concatenate the object to a string, so this is a string, so string plus something is going to try to convert that other thing into a string. That's what Java does. That's the easiest item to convert to because everything can be a string technically. And so it's going to attempt to convert this object to a string. Well, how do you convert an object to a string? What do you use?
To string.
The toString method, right? I don't know if you saw this last week, David, but yeah, our product class has a toString method that prints out this. I do want to add one more thing to this to make sure it's nice looking. I'm going to also do a +/n. Make sure that I get a new line character on each one. That, and now I'm going to change this in our main class to use that new one. Get inventory. That and semicolon. So play. And there we go. Loops through and gets the toString method of every item that we had. That look good.
It even got the organic.
Yep, 'cause remember we did on the overloads that don't include the organic, we just set organic to false. We assume that if it's not, if we're not told it's organic, it's not organic. Because the majority of items that we're given, of course, and majority of items in produce are not organic. We assume that if you're not telling us it's organic, it's not organic. Because if it's organic, you're going to brag about it.
I
Any
noticed
questions?
that you didn't have to type in new fruit or a new drink when you added it to the
Nope.
inventory.
Right, because the add inventory method is what does it. So if you go here to the add inventory method under store, sorry, we do the new
Right,
method, we do the
that
new
makes
command
sense.
here. That way we simplify our main. Our main isn't in charge of building it, and that makes sure we don't keep a existing reference outside of the store to that item. By doing new up here and storing in a variable, I can access that individual item outside the inventory of the store and make changes, which will still affect the item in the store as well. So this binds this item to the inventory and locks it to the inventory, makes it impossible to get access to. Now, yeah, if I wanted another overload to these, I could always do an overload where I could do add to inventory drink, and add inventory drink. So I could do that to create that overload. But I actually think that if I do that, it should still work already. So here's like again, that's a product. So even though it's a drink is a product. So we do store, add inventory, new drink, yeah, new drink. No, let's do new fruit. Fruit. It's going to be, give me another fruit, people. Apple and orange. What else?
Mango.
What?
There.
Mango. Dragon fruit.
Ooh, dragon fruit. I like that thing.
There you go.
What's the price of our dragon fruit?
$5.
$1 more than our orange juice. I love it. ID is going to be E203.
Penny more.
That.
A penny more, not $1 more.
Yeah, true. Thank you. I don't know why I said $1. Thanks. We're gonna get the. So my favorite actually is the pink dragon fruit. The white one in the center doesn't always have the highest flavor, but the very first one I ever had, the flesh inside was actually pink itself, and that tasted amazing. Hardness. What's the hardness level of our of a dragon fruit?
Where's our pro, Manny?
Manny, what's the hardest level of a dragon fruit?
They're kind of, I would say they're like almost like a kiwi.
Stronger or softer than an apple? Softer? I thought so too. So at least a 4. I would probably put it a 3 though. I think it's weaker than an orange too, because you can just smush it with your hand, I think. I'm gonna say 3. Yeah. Not that again it matters. But the thing is, so we have the add inventory product. Remember, a fruit is a product. So if I did declare the fruit here, it's still accepted. I don't need the fruit overload or the drink overload because product is an abstract class. It's a parent class. So that method can accept any child item as its parameter. So that's why this is still allowed. So the overloads are there to take the data, the raw data to create it. You can see here, there it is. Go figure, dragon fruit and orange juice have the same characters. Didn't realize same number of characters, exactly. Did not plan for that. That's cool. All right, cool. So that's really what's really cool about these abstract parent classes is that they can take on more items. So that's what's really, really useful about these, and that's where you can see some benefits of them. Is that you can accept those items as a parameter, and it then accepts its parent class and all the children class below it. Again, the logic inside can only act on a product. That's the big caveat you want to keep in mind, is that anything that is fruit or drink specific, I can't do the logic inside of this method based on that information without doing a check first and typecasting it. But if I'm not doing anything drink or fruit specific, utilizing the abstract class is going to give myself more accessibility and less overloading. Kind of useful, right? Cool. Let's see. All right. So now we need to do a little bit more fun here, or a little more, not really fun. We need to make some changes now. We need to make sure that when we're buying these things, when we're adding these things to the store, we are buying them, right? We want to actually buy them. Hey, Matt's back. Cool. So now we need to decide, and I guess we can keep this simple to start. We can just say that we buy things at 1/3 of the cost, I guess you could say, or half the cost. Because I think you guys have been telling me the sell price, right? These are all the sale prices for these items, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have 2 options. Either we change these to the purchase price, or we keep these as a sale price and we have to calculate what the purchase price was? What do we want to do? I think it's easier for us right now.
It's easier to calculate a discount.
Yeah.
So we calculate the discount that we buy it at. All right. By the way, mostly in most situations, you're doing one or the other. You're either buying it at a certain discount or you're going to buy it and then sell it at a certain up cost anyway. So you're going to do some sort of math on the price field anyway. Just which way do we want to do it? So, my personal recommendation actually is to do that in the inventory because we know that every product has a price, whether it's a fruit or a drink. So we can do it one time when we add that product to the inventory and actually add it before we add it here. We can check to make sure we can actually afford it and then add it only if we can afford it and after we remove the price. So here we can do if product.price. What do I have here? I have a problem, don't I?
You don't have access to that.
No, I don't. So if you look at our product class, why are you doing that? Thank you. See this? There we go. We simply, yeah, the price is private. So we have two options. What are the two? Well, we have more than two options, but there's a couple options. I want to say specifically three options, actually. Can somebody give me one of the options we can do?
Getter.
What? Keith?
Public getter.
You could do a getter, yeah. We can create a getter. That way it stays private. We can get access to the price. What are the other options we have?
You can protect it.
We could change it to protected. Now, would that actually work? If we take a look, we know that store is not a child of the product class, and they are not in the same package, are they?
Oh, no, they're not.
So
So
protected wouldn't give me access.
Yeah.
So that actually rules that option out. That was an option, but we realized that option doesn't actually do it. So that's now out. What's the final option?
public.
Yeah, public, right, people? Do you agree? Yeah, we can turn this public. What's the downside of turning it to public?
Can be
Oh,
hacked.
it's around the price.
Yeah, it's now vulnerable, right? It's now open to be changed. I can actually change the price. I can come here and set the price to 0 quick before pulling it from my balance. And now the store looks like it still has a whole bunch of money still, even though it's totally spending it. So we definitely don't want to make it public because the store should not be allowed to change the price of the product before buying it. So the getter seems like it's going to be our best option. And on top of that, by doing the getter, we can get the data without allowing the price to change. So
Alt insert.
you're going to give me the shortcut, aren't you? I don't know if that one works.
I don't know if it'll work on yours.
on Mac. Yeah. But as I
Anybody?
start typing it, it should give it to me. Ready? Public. Get price. There it is.
Oh yeah, nice.
So we'll take that. We'll just take advantage of that today, so we can move on to the more important stuff. So we'll throw that in there. So public get price. I'm gonna pop over to
I
the
noticed that you,
inventory.
for the get display price, it's private.
What did I do?
On line 18 for get display price, it's private.
Oh, cool. Well, yeah, the display price is a string. We only want that inside of the toString method. We haven't needed to get this yet. We're using it in this method. So for the moment, that's fine. If you set it to public, it's not a big deal. This one again is just a public. It's fine. But I just wanted to show that you can do this because yeah, we're using it here. This is the only place we're using it right now inside of the method
So if it's
so-
inside, if it's only being used within that
within the class.
class,
You can make the
then
method
you-
private as well.
private.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's considered an internal method.
Should you do that? Is that good practice?
Yeah, there's no reason, again, it's a safety thing to make things private versus public, because then also, as you saw in the IntelliJ system, it's going to keep this list smaller. It'll make sure that this list does not get overpopulated by items we're never going to select. The more items that are public, the larger this list becomes, the more
Yeah.
cumbersome it can be to your fellow developers.
And the
So
other,
go ahead.
the other question is, if I made 18 public, I mean, where am I using that other than the fact in here? Where am I
Yeah.
using that and why does it need to be public?
In this method, it wouldn't be because we can't use the
No,
string.
I'm just, my question is, why would you want to make it public if you're not using it other
Yeah.
than the fact
Only
that,
other way I could realize we might need to eventually put it public is so that for like displaying the price to the end to the customer at the end.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah,
So-
you may eventually need to turn this to public somewhere down the road,
Yeah.
but you don't need to do it right now. It's not
Exactly.
imperative.
And I only built this method. We realized we needed this method for this method. So that's why we did it. We didn't want all this code here sitting right here in this spot. So we solely built this method just to make our toString method more legible, more readable. And so we only built this method for this. So that's why we started it private. Normally when we're building methods, we're building it with the intent for it to be used outside. That's why we can start public. This one, it was another internal method that prompted us to build it. So that's why I started it private. Make sense? So that's kind of my rule of thumb. With a lot of methods, they tend to be public, but if a method is what prompts me to build another method, I tend to make that method private until I realize it's needed elsewhere. Sound good? Cool. Good question on that one. Yeah,
So
get
basically,
price.
the rule of thumb is always make everything private,
In
and
most cases,
just-
yes. Yeah.
and just later on you check if you need.
Yeah. Like I said, in fields, definitely rule of thumb private. For methods, they're actually going to more often than not be public because you tend to build methods for external use. But yes, if a method in your class prompts you to build the method, start that method off private. Because you're only building that method because the class told you to. Another method inside the same class told you to build it. But if a method in one class tells you I need a method from another class, that one should be public, or at least public if not protected. But you always want to try to get it to be the highest level of security you can. So you want to get as close to private as you can, of course, changing where needed. Yeah. Public get price that is greater than our balance. Yeah. That's out. Enough funds. For the moment, I'm not going to print what we have, just a simple error message, and then return. And this, again, I want to make sure that this is a new concept we get into. Your if state, I want to try to get you guys to think about the concept of ifs should be used to try to end a method early, not to decide whether or not I should do something. What this does, it reduces the need for else's and else ifs. If your if statements are designed around trying to return or end a method, you get what are called if returns. If returns do not need else's and do not need else ifs, because if they were true, the method would end on this line, on the return statement. So nothing below this can run. And so we're automatically, or already, just by being on line 25, we're already in the else scenario now. The main things that this helps for us is that it reduces indentation. It keeps our indentation small, and it allows methods to end real early and keep things out. So your if statements really shouldn't be deciding, should I do something? It should be deciding whether or not that this method is not going to go through to its end. It's not going to finish. If statements should be saying, if this, I need to end this method. This method is done. That makes sense?
Do you
They do
use a
see-
break
I've been seeing
instead
a-
of a
What's
return?
that?
Could you use a break instead of a return?
Not in a method. The breaks are for loops.
Yeah, it would error out.
Yeah.
It's not a loop, so you can't.
But yeah, in a
But
loop,
other
you would
than
want
that,
to
would
do,
it be
yeah.
the same thing?
Yeah, but in a loop, I would use the break. I would use a break usually, or a return. Yeah. So even in your loops, an if statement should do the same thing. An if statement should be used to either decide I need to start the next iteration, I should exit the loop, or exit the method. If statements should always be trying to end something, not deciding should I do something necessarily. It can do that, but and then sometimes you just have to have that because like, oh, if this, I need to do this before I do this next action, then that's fine. The idea though is that an if statement should be a conditional item that happens and then the rest still occurs. Or this happens and I finish. Does that make sense? You want to avoid if else and if else ifs, if that makes sense. Sometimes you need them. Again, these are guides, these are not rules, these are not laws. These are guidelines and some common practices to follow that make good, clean code that make you look like a more advanced developer. None of these, though, again, like I said, are laws and set in stone. You can break these. There are scenarios where you need an if else and if else if. So don't feel like you can't use them, but just you're always trying to word your if statements and word your situations to invalidate systems and to kill them. So sound good?
Mhm.
Cool. All right. So if we hit line 25, we know we have enough balance to pay for the item. So then we can do balance. Yeah. Minus equal. Product dot get price again. There we go. Good. I'm going to do something a little bit interesting here, just for the fun of it. If I don't need the error message, oh no, I need the error message. You know what? I'm not going to show it actually. I was going to show that I could do a ternary expression with this, but if I want the error message, can't do it. Never mind. I'd have to make a method. Yeah, I'd have to make a method call or something. Anyway, it's fine. That's fine. It's fine. I can show fancier stuff later. Not important for this one. Yeah, that works. So now we can see how the inventory has the logic, and this is how your setter should look like, stuff like that. But all good. Add inventory. So now we're going to add inventory products based on their price. So now let's go to our main. Actually, we need one more thing first. I'm going to do this now just because I don't want to deal with it yet. Let's go ahead and do, for a moment, we're going to get rid of this, but public int get balance. Turn.
Would you just create a getter?
Just a getter for balance. Sorry, I did that. I probably just said it. Yeah, I created a balance getter for the time being. Just so we can see the balance before we buy products and after we buy the products.
After, yeah, makes sense.
For the moment, I haven't done any math to decide what the buy price has. We're buying them for the same price we sell them for the moment, but it's fine to start. Just to make sure that the math works. So we can hit play now. All right, you can see we have this and we have that. But now we see something that we might want to benefit from, huh? Look at our balance. What's wrong with it?
Buy.
What?
What did you buy?
Formatted as money.
Yeah, it doesn't look really nice for us, does it? I guess we can sit with it with sense, but we're kind of getting used to this, huh? Kind of used to that. That looks really nice. So maybe we want to, maybe this display price number method here could be useful elsewhere, huh? I might need some common utilities, huh? Let's create a quick little package here for fun. We'll do a new Java class, utils. We're going to create our own utils class. So util. Again, yes, that. I'm going to make this a static class, so I don't have to instantiate it.
Just got to make static methods.
Yeah. Right. Okay, I don't think I can do static class until I have static methods. But anyway, product item. Here's we can see what we used again last time. So we did the Java text number format. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to grab that display price method. Paste it in here. Got it online now, so I can actually read it. You. Like this. Static. But notice how we have price here is not available, so we need to do int price. Now, that should work. And I think I should be able to make this a static class now.
No, you could just type in util dot get display. That will work.
Yeah, I thought you could make a static class. Anyway, this isn't main static. No, it's not. All right, I'm losing my mind.
Like
Okay.
only make inner classes static or something like that.
That might be what I'm thinking of. Thank you. Yes, I think you're right on that one. That sounds right. Yeah, 'cause I know I've
Also
seen static
import the
classes.
util.
Yeah, we're gonna import our own util now. So yeah.
You want to make
know
that.
how
You
this-
want to make it public though. Public static.
Yes, I was gonna get to that. Thank you. I got distracted by the whole static thing. Yep. So now we want to make this method public now. So now we have the public method.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Oops, dang it. I meant to make a package there. Dang it. New package. Util. Good package. I actually wanted this class to be called formatter. Dang it. Yeah, let's rename this. Sorry. Refactor, rename, formatter. I'm gonna put that in our util class. Refactor. There we go. Now I'm happy. So we have our util class, our util package, kind of similar to the Java util package, right? We know how we use the Java util package for our lists and stuff, right? So now we have our own util, which is going to be capital U, just so we know it's different. Let's go back to our our product class, and let's use this new one. So now we're going to import. Let's actually practice importing ourselves. com.util formatter. Here I'm going to do formatter dot get display price. Now we no longer need this private one. Get rid of it now. So far, so good.
Yeah,
a
but
second to catch up. So hold
a
on a
little
second.
question on that though.
Go for it.
The only thing, now this class relies on the utility class to be able to print that out.
True. So
Is
this is
that-
now coupled. Yes. So maybe there is an argument to maybe keeping this, so that way we don't need that import, that this can then pass on to other systems without needing the util formatter. So that is one thing that I guess you can't argue. It depends on whether or not. So this is a idea of coupling. I'm actually glad you brought that up. I completely forgot about that. I'm mentioning that today. I did want to talk about that. So I guess we're noticing that we might need this get display price more than once. There is this idea like, hey, now we've made our system or this class reliant and hardly coupled with this external class in another package. I mean, if we want to use the grocery store package, we have to include our personal util package as well. We can't bring the grocery store package by itself anymore. Does anyone know what this is called? It's a term we've used before in JavaScript as well, maybe. Wait, I don't remember if you guys used NPM. Did you guys in JavaScript ever get around to using NPM?
I don't think so.
Damn, so never mind. You might not know this term. Any ideas? Maybe some of the older students know what this is called?
Boxing? No?
No, when a package relies on another package, what is that called?
Oh, dependency.
There it is. These are called dependencies. And so that's what a lot of package managers do. So when we get to Spring Boot, you're going to learn about Maven and Gradle and Column, I think is another one. Yeah. These are package managers. And what that means is that when you install one package, some packages rely on packages made by others, because not everyone wants to recreate the whole wheel. And so what happens is you say, hey, I want this package. If that package relies on others, those are called dependencies. The package manager will make sure to also include getting those other packages, if that makes sense. Now, in certain situations, that can be useful. But in other situations, it can be cumbersome. You can be downloading a large package for a single method out of it. That can make your code bloated. It can be an idea called like this, like idea of like bloatware and stuff like that. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that term before. This idea that we're now downloading a giant package and we just want one feature out of it or one item out of it. And so this can be in that, this is where we get into that discussion of coupling. How hardly coupled is your class to another class or another package? By using this formatter system, we are hard coupling our product to this util package, to this formatter class. We have to have that in order for this products with the grocery store package to work now.
On
And again, we're doing that.
example that you said that the bloating, couldn't
What's
you
that?
just that thing that you said bloating, like do a big package for just one small thing?
Mhm.
Couldn't you do, like, for instance, right there you have the con.util.formatter.
True.
So it couldn't be, it shouldn't be the same for, like, let's say there is another let's say that formatter is huge,
True.
but you just want one thing out of it. Couldn't you just do like a dot and then the name of the thing that you want? If
Yes,
there
and
was
that's-
like different classes for that thing.
And while we only bring that in for this class, while the class will only bring in formatter, Java will have to bring in the whole package potentially. That's the thing to keep in mind. So while yes, we only bring formatter into this class, the util package now has to be included. We have to
Oh, I
download that
see.
onto our computer. So if
Maybe
you
So
have
the
a
the,
local-
util
the
is
overhead
used,
is still, yeah, the overhead is still there.
Exactly. Now, whether or not it concludes the whole package in the compiled product, that is something I'm not 100% confident in with Java. I haven't looked into that kind of stuff. Whether or not Java would compile the whole util package, but you would need to download the whole util package to be able to then bring in the formatter. So
Yeah,
you would
so
have the whole util
what I
package.
saw, if you do like util dot star sign,
Right.
then you download it out the
You're
util.
definitely bringing the whole package into the
Yeah,
class.
but if you do just like util dot formatter, then
Yeah.
you're just grabbing that. That's
Yeah.
it.
For the class, again, project wise, my computer will download the whole util package. So on my computer, I will have this whole package here. In the example before, using a package manager, I download the util some sort of formatter package online. I'm going to download to my computer the entire formatter package. Now, what I'm not sure of and what I was trying to clarify is when you do something like this and you pull a specific class out of a package, the final product of your program, when it compiles everything, I want to say that Java will only compile that one class that you pulled out of the package. It won't compile the whole package. That is something I'm fairly confident I can say. I have not tested that. I do not know if that is true, unfortunately. That is something I do want to make sure is very, very clear.
But using that one class might be relying on other classes in that dependency or other pieces in that dependency to make that one method work.
And unless you're going to go through and check out this class to see if this class requires any other classes,
Yeah.
you don't necessarily know what you're bringing in when you bring in another item. So that's the idea of coupling. By doing this, we do decouple our system. By leaving this package here, our product doesn't need that package, and we keep our product class isolated and singular. It's able to work on its own still. It doesn't need anybody else. It only needs this number format, which is built into Java. So that's already included. We're pulling it from Java directly, so it's already built in. We're good with that. We already had access to it anyway. Even then, we're minimizing how many things it's coupled with and how many things need to come with it. And so that's something that we can argue about. And that's something you can discuss about. And that's something, again, you would want to discuss with your team. It's one package. The code isn't complicated. Do we just want to keep it as a private method inside the package? There. Right? At the same time, I guess we could turn this into a public method that can take a price too. But that just doesn't seem useful though here, because it seems weird for the store to be asking the product class for display price to convert a price. So
Yes.
So now the next question, of course, would then be though, our store class. Do we want to again bring in a private version of this into store, or do we want to use our formatter now?
Well, I would just say use the formatter.
Yeah, in store, I feel it's better to use the formatter because store is kind of not something that can work without other items anyway. Store already has to bring in a bunch of product systems from the grocery store class as well. The store class is one of these it's kind of meant to be a big class. It already sounds like a big class, right? The grocery store class sounds like it's going to be big, sounds like it's going to be massive. We're expecting that to do a lot, to need a lot of external stuff. Because store technically is full of a lot of external stuff. So it makes more sense for store to probably use a package, whereas product, this is something that's very, very low level, close to the ground, close to like, it's one of those individual, like smaller items. And we might want this thing to be more shareable into different situations and different scenarios without having to bring in a whole bunch of bloat with it. Does that make sense? Again, none of these are rules or laws. Do what feels right, do what feels easier, do what makes more sense. That makes sense. In this system, I don't see us ever needing to change this. So I don't see that needing any sort of updates or anything like that. The store, though, may want to change how it displays prices, or may want to always make sure it's using the most efficient system for displaying prices. So we want to use the package. So we have the most up-to-date systems, up-to-date code for that. So again, there's a bunch of reasonings why you can choose to do it the way you want to do it. Make sense? Always be aware that there's nothing set in stone. And the biggest thing for you is being able to defend or explain your decision. Right? If you can explain your decision well, technically no decision is wrong then. The main thing you want to be able to do though is after you explain your decision, be able to listen to advice and take feedback from the store or the company that you're working for. So like I've said before, and every time I'll say it again, whenever a company asks you why you did something a certain way, do not assume it's because you did it wrong. It's because they want to know why. It's literally what they want to know. They're asking you why because they want to know why. Tell them why, and then if it was because they were impressed by it, they'll be happy to hear it and be like, that's awesome, glad you're able to figure it out. If it's because they have an improvement, they'll, just let you know, actually, there is a better way to do this, and here's what it looks like. Show interest in it. She'll be like, oh, I didn't even think of that. That sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna look into trying that later. So that's how you want to be able to approach these things. Show that you're willing to learn, that you do make decisions, that you are able to make decisions, that you're confident in your skill to just decide what to code and make a code so that it works. You want to show that confidence that you will just make something that works, but then also show that you're willing and open to learning and improving your code. That is the sign of a good developer. Never being in a mindset where your code is just automatically the best because you coded it, or that your way of coding it is the way to code it. As long as you show that willingness to learn, that is a huge boon, and companies love that. It's why companies tend to, honestly, it's part of the reason why a lot of older developers tend to have trouble, because at least a lot of them in the past used to be stuck in their ways. They didn't want to change how they were. They coded a certain way. They wanted to keep coding a certain way. And so younger developers did start getting did start being looked at better because they didn't have any ways they did stuff. They were still learning. They didn't have any patterns that they followed yet. So companies loved them more because they were moldable. If you show that you're moldable and you're open to adjusting and changing, then it doesn't matter your age or how long you've been doing something. That takes that stigma away. So make sure you can show that you're willing and able and okay with learning and adjusting and changing how you do stuff.
I see a project
Which one?
folder.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed that I made a util package.
I'm just wondering why mine doesn't sit where yours sits. Oh, no, it does. Is it?
Yeah, I put it under com.
Oh,
Yeah, it's under the com class, not under the.
I noticed
the
also
store.
you're capitalizing them.
Yeah,
That's
I
not
tend to
the
do
proper
that.
practice.
It's not common. Yeah, I tend to forget that because I tend to treat them like classes as well. I'll probably try to start switching that. That's one of my habits that I haven't broken yet with Java, with JavaScript. I mean, with Java.
All right, I just wanted to make sure I was following the proper thing.
You're fine. You're actually correct on that. If you're not capitalizing them, you're fine. All right. Stuff. All right, so we have that. So let's go ahead and use the formatter for store then. So let me do that. Formatter. And here we're going to do in the, where is it? Get balance. We're actually going to change this to a string. Return formatter dot get display price balance. Let's run that now. See what we get. That looks good. Not bad, right? Did anyone actually decide to do the math to let us know if the math is right? We got 5, it's like 10 there, give or take. Or it's gonna be 15.50. It's $15. Yeah, just a little more than $20, right? Which looks like what we're doing, yeah. That right there is a little more than, that's another almost $5 there, a little more. That throws it a little over 5. Yeah, so I think we're good. Yeah, that looks accurate. Estimating by estimate. So now we see this. We know we have 479.462. If I remove the dragon fruit, that should be $5 more, which would be $4.84, right? So let's comment out the dragon fruit and see if we go up $5. That'll let us know that it's working well. Here we go. Good. So now we can, whenever we add product to our system, it's going to automatically try to reduce the price. Awesome. Good stuff. All right. Now for the important item. I wanted that in there because now what I want to do is actually want to convert, last thing I'm going to do now is convert our product class to an abstract class. All we're going to do that is this. we have no abstract methods yet. Job's done. That's it. We haven't instantiated any products. We aren't doing new product anywhere. And so that's what is the high hint telling us product doesn't have to be a class. Product is abstract. We're never instantiating a project. We're never instantiating a product. We're always instantiating one of the child classes. We're not instantiating a product. So that should be your, once you start seeing that in your code, if you're never seeing yourself instantiate a certain class, but always instantiating children classes of it, that screams to you that it is a product class. Make sense?
Could you,
But you
could you
could
also,
go.
I got two
I'm sorry.
questions.
no, go ahead. You can go first.
Well, you can always instantiate the product class, but now you change to abstract, now you can't.
Right. And that's
But
why,
before you probably-
again, my point there is that the fact that we're not instantiating a product should be a hint to you that product is probably
Yeah.
abstract. There's nothing, there is no need for a instantiation of a product because there is nothing that is just a product. Everything is one of the children items. And if not, we need to make a child item for it then probably. Manny, what were you gonna add?
Oh, but I just wanted to add one more thing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah. Now the fact that you made this an abstract class, that means like most of these methods underneath here could be abstract, be an abstract method now.
Could, if
Not
we had
all-
any, we could.
Well, you only got a few of them anyways. You don't have like
Yeah.
a lot of them.
So that's
So,
what I clarified. Yeah, we currently don't have any abstract class methods yet,
yeah.
but it is something we could look into later on, and that's something we can add. If we ever realize that, let's say getting the price of it could change, and how we get the price of it, we could change and we can get that. But for the moment, we have nothing that really tells us that where we know that every child class needs to have it, but it's going to do it differently. We currently don't have those, and that's fine. Not every abstract class has abstract methods yet. All your methods could still be items. What this is doing for us mainly is going to make sure that we don't accidentally ever instantiate a product class, because our system should never have just a product. It should be one of the child classes. It should be one of those. That our store is only going to be full of these smaller items. We want to be very specific in what item it is, what child class we're using, make sure we get the right data.
So you would have to make a generic class too now.
Not
just-
necessarily.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, what happens if we started, what happens if someone sent us like spatulas and we're like, well, we don't sell spatulas.
Spatula class.
It's like, it's not a
Well,
fruit, it's not a vegetable. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's not a fruit or two products.
Yeah.
We got to build a new class.
Yeah.
But it is still considered a product though.
Yeah, it is a
Right.
product.
And
It's-
so-
If it's an
you have to
item that
build
you're
a new-
selling at the
build a new
store.
child class.
And in that case, yes, but what we should be doing is a good way for us to know our system isn't built out enough yet, and maybe we do need another class, because there's probably information for that spatula that the product class doesn't cover enough. And so we might want to know more about that behind it. For that kind of stuff, spatulas, we would probably want to know metal or silicone, right?
Right.
Because
yeah, I'm just-
Our
On a
customers
metal
are
apple.
very, what was that?
I want a metal apple.
Metal apple. There you go. But for me, like someone like me who uses a lot of non-stick items, I need to know if the cookware that a store has is metal or not, because you do not use metal on cookware. You will scratch off the non-stick surfaces. So I need to know that stuff, and yet our product class would have no way of monitoring that or filtering based on that stat.
Because we do have a name.
Couldn't you just,
Let Manny go now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out.
So-
those kinds of
sorry.
stuff. Yeah.
but for his, couldn't you then just have a product class and then have several more child, or I guess, make the product class like the grandparent,
Yep.
and then have several classes underneath that, say utensils or cutlery or
And
produce and dairy,
yes.
and just build from there.
Yep. And
Because
what I
If
can
it's
argue
an item,
for.
it-
Ooh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but since it is a product and they all share one similar value, which is their product in your store, they all share a price, and they all share a barcode of ID, and then you can just classify them after that.
And one thing we could do so that we wouldn't have, that our store wouldn't be stuck until we can add in a new product class, what I think you might have been hinting towards is this idea of what a general product could be. It could be a child class that is general. And just so people can kind of see what that might look like is
Oh yeah, and my
generic.
secondary question, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead while I do this.
Secondary question would be, wouldn't you want your utilities class or utilities package to be abstract? Because
what?
there's never really a chance that you should be instantiating it, because all you're doing is using it to return certain items. You don't ever necessarily need that class. You're never instantiating that class.
I think you broke out a bit. Which class? I think you broke up a bit. Which
Sorry,
class?
for your
Oh, yeah,
utilities
you're breaking out a bit.
utilities
Sorry.
class.
Oh, the the formatter.
I was saying, yeah, the formatter, but you had it under your utilities package.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be best to have that as an abstract class rather than a static class?
It can be.
Because why
We still
would you
we can
ever
still do
want-
the static method to make sure we can access it. Oh no, wait.
Yeah, static method.
Oh yeah. You could make the formatter class abstract
want
because that way no one
abstract
could
class instead,
accidentally
because
attempt to
You said we
instantiate it.
never want to accidentally.
This would cause, this would, this one doesn't really change much for the program itself. This would be more for the developer, that if you did try to instantiate it, the code would tell you, hey, you can't instantiate it because it's abstract. So you don't create something that's unnecessary for your code. You're not using up memory unnecessarily. So this isn't a required item, but it would be a nice clean code principle to make sure that none of your coworkers try to instantiate formatter when they can just utilize the items inside of it. I think I have actually seen that if you have a class where all the items are static, they may make it abstract so that you can't instantiate it. If you try to, it'll yell at you. So that is something you do. That's kind of just, doesn't really change anything for the output of your code, but it can make it nice because then you don't accidentally instantiate an instance of a static class or a class that has all static items. So that's cool. Let me finish this up quick. All right, so this is kind of what you might see in a generic product class. Let me just do this quick. So that is that since a generic item is just being generated in the sense it would store anything, you don't know what those items could be. And so the term meta is kind of used for just data about something that is unknown. That's what the term meta is kind of used a lot of times. So we can have we could use several data types so that those items are available, but we don't necessarily have to use them. Again, something can be set to int meta, can be always set to 0. It doesn't have to have anything. Instead of using int, we could also use integer, and that way we could set it to null. Classes can be set to null. Primitive types are not necessarily able to be set to null, but classes can be set to null. So we could have our integer in meta set to null. This can be set to null to start, so that we know that that item is not necessarily being used. During construction, we can put something in it. What's that?
Hey Cliff, my laptop is at like 1% right
You're
now,
good.
so I'll probably cut out.
I'm recording this. You're good. You can watch the last bit of it.
Okay. All right.
We're about to wrap up anyway. So,
I'll stay on until it does. So.
okay, cool. So, that's kind of the concept we have. Meta is a useful term for just saying there's data stored here that I don't know. There's nothing I can use to describe what the data is, right? It's unknown what the data here is going to represent. There's no name for it because it could be anything. And so in this case, our string meta for the cookware could be the brand of the cookware or the type of cookware, right? The brand of it. The int meta could be the thermal resistance of this cookware, right? You can put the thermal resistance on this. How hot, what temperature can this maintain? And then object, this thing right here, what's cool about this one, and this one is kind of getting a little more advanced in there, is the idea that I can use any object and store it in here. Be aware that by doing this, I can't access any of that object information without typecasting it first. But that means I can put anything here. I could put a product in here because a product is a child of the object class. I could put a fruit in here because it's a child of the object class. It's several layers down, but it is an object. The trick here, though, is that I wouldn't be able to access any of the fruit-specific items without typecasting it in some way. And so a common item here would be typecasting. So you would pull the object and then utilize its class and whoever pulled the information. So they would pull the object, and whoever's pulling it would know what it is so that it can then typecast that object. But this is getting a little more high level. This is getting into what's called dynamic programming. This ability that I can now have an object that can take anything. I can take any integer, whatever it means. I can take any string that can explain what it is, and I can take any object and store it in there, and then be able to pull it and typecast it whenever I need it. So this could be anything I wanted. Again, this is high level dynamic programming. Nothing you guys need to worry about for where you guys are going currently, but this is the idea of a generic item where everything in it is unknown. There is no format that I can follow, guaranteed, right? And the only way to cover all bases is a lot of them will even make multiple of these. You'll have string meta 1, string meta 2, for example, and then a lot of companies will have a pattern of what you should be using for that. And sometimes you may even put a string in here as a description or a comment in the whatever builds the item, whatever calls it, whatever creates this generic item, will have like comments or something somewhere to be able to explain what the object is, what each meta means. So you might have like a string int you might have that there, so that way it can be printed out what the meta means. What is the int meta actually doing for this specific instance of it? So when I instantiate it, I can put the number in there, and then in the string, I would put the thermal resistance. Again, this is getting a little bit on the higher level, so don't worry too much about this. This is nothing you guys need to worry about right now. But yes, if you wanted to make sure that when you got this product that you've never had in your store before, instead of having to wait for the developers to add that class into your system, you could temporarily add it into the generic class with whatever data you wanted, just that it exists in the system, if that makes sense. Sound good? All right. I'm actually going to kill this thing. I don't want it. Well, actually, I'll keep it in mind code so you can see it because it might be interesting to look at, but we're not going to utilize it in any way. So don't worry about it. But, ooh, dang it, I don't want to close that. Oh, it's fine. I can reopen it if I need it. I do need it. It's the store class. It's literally what we're working on. All right. All right. Last thing we're going to create right now is going to be an interface. The actual systems are going to communicate with the user to figure out what they want to do. Now, I know a lot of you would probably be like, oh, okay, let's put this in the store. We'll add stuff here. I'm actually going to create a new method for that, a new class for that. I'm going to call that the UI class. And it's a common class. I'm going to create a UI class. And I'm going to create a package called console for this. Let's create our new Java class. Console. And I'll do the right way without capitalizing it. I'm trying to I hit class. Delete.
We're creating a new package.
Package. Yes, that's what I meant to say. Console. And inside the console package, you have a class. UI. And that one's going to be capitalized because it is an acronym technically. So I'm also going to put this in the grocery store package. I just realized because I do want to keep these things separate from other projects we work on. So it is going to be inside the grocery store for now. So I do want to keep things slightly separate. All right, so we got our UI class. And right now I'm just going to do a public static display. We'll actually do start.
Don't you need to make that a void?
Yeah, I do. I just noticed that. Thank you. Beat me before I realized I said it out loud. Nice. Good. Good catch. Static void start. And this is going to start the console and start our console loop so we can keep making multiple requests. So I'm not gonna, yeah, let's not do the wild tree yet for the moment, but I'm just gonna do static void. Okay. So welcome to the store. No. Name. We'll do void. Yeah. Well, two. No. One. Sorry. So. Product. Now. Okay. List. For product. Five. Sound good? All we're gonna do here is we're gonna do welcome. Oh, we need to get the name, so we need a getter for name. So let's add a quick get name. That. Go back to main now. I'm going to comment out our everything here in a moment. We'll do UI dot start store. Play. All right. Welcome to the store. What would you like to do? Add product to inventory, throw away a product, list available products, sell a product, or quit. Last item. Click int. Get input. Get int. We'll get our own get int. Then max. Oh, right. one. Oh no, not that way. We'll do option equals option. That's fine. We'll use a do because we definitely want to make sure we ask the user at least once. We're going to use the do while because we want this to happen at least once, right?
Mhm.
And so our option is set to nothing at first because we don't have anything from them. We're going to get something from them no matter what. So do put. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, in string. Put equals. Oh, we don't have a scanner yet, do we? Let's get a quick scanner. This is the UI. Probably would have one. I'll get this quick thing done. There. Scanner.
Is that a public?
And I would probably say this is private for the moment. Yeah. So
It probably needs to be
That-
static.
what's that?
I will yell at you for being static. I always put
What?
private. It doesn't seem to work when I go through here. I always have to put static. I don't know why.
Need to. All right.
But-
Um,
I like to see it just work if this works this way.
static here too as well. I forgot all my methods gonna be static. New scanner. That's out. My system. Out.
And
Oh, thank you. Thank you. There. We use next, and then we'll parse int it. So integer dot parseInt, right? Yeah, integer dot parseInt input. Does anyone know the problem with this line of code here?
see, yeah, because you got to use static.
No, I have it.
Not on scanner.
Scanner.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
No,
the
you have to
variable.
do private
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, you're right.
See, I
I see what you were saying. That has to be static.
That
Right.
have
You're
to-
right.
why does it? Oh, because everything else is static. That's why that
Yeah.
has to be static.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Because everything else is static. You can't have a dynamic item inside of the class.
Interesting.
If nothing else is dynamic, you can't have one thing be dynamic with everything else being static. Static means that it's unchanging. It's all
Yeah.
the same.
Okay.
So, cool.
Can that be a final now too?
Probably, but I'm nothing I'm worrying about right now.
Isn't
Alright.
static so that it doesn't have to be instantiated? And it
Yeah.
wasn't working because UI was never, it doesn't have a constructor, so it wouldn't be
Yep.
instantiated.
Yeah.
Oh, it has a constructor though, doesn't it?
Not really. It has a default constructor, but it's saying is that because this wasn't static, it technically has the potential to be something that it isn't. It's
Yeah.
not guaranteed to be this. Even with a private, I could theoretically change this item somewhere in the class or somewhere.
sure.
So
Yeah.
I can change what this item is by making it static. It cannot be changed, and that's what a static class requires. Static
Mhm.
methods, they're trying to say that they're going to behave the same way every time.
Yeah.
A static method that if we give it the same thing, it should output the same result. That's the idea of a static item. Again, not a law, but that's the mentality. So while our option less than min or option is greater than max, we want to ask again. I need this info. Dang it. Yep. Good. Yeah. So this idea here is that it's going to ask the option. It's going to get that. It's going to get the number, and then it's going to try again. One last thing I also want to do is do string. Forgot about this one. Prompt. Yeah. Now, prompt. And so this is just a generic getInt that we use that we know will not use that whole double enter issue that we had. And it's going to parse the int with a int and max, a min and max inclusive system, that if the person enters anything outside of the range min to max inclusive, we're going to ask again. That makes sense? There is one problem that this current code though does have. Does anyone know what it is?
You have an underlined red curly brace underneath your online.
True. So, thank you.
You're not returning.
There's still a problem with this code. Well, not necessarily. It's not going. There's potential problem in this code.
Oh,
Anyone know
you
what
could
ID?
enter anything you want. I could enter a string in here and it would, actually you have a string.
What
here.
does
I have
parse
different-
int do if it encounters an item that can't be parsed?
Right,
What does this method do if it encounters something that cannot be parsed?
exception error.
It crashes, right?
Yeah.
So one of my challenges for you, it will be tomorrow, the first 30 minutes before class will be to try to see if you can figure out how to do a do block here, a try block in here. On this line right here, we want to encompass this in a try block. That if it fails to parse, we do not crash. We simply keep moving. So we're going to try it. We want to catch the exception. We technically don't need to print anything because we're going to repeat anyway. And we can just set option to something outside our range, right? As long as we make sure that option is set to something outside the range, we're going to repeat, right? So something I want you to try, coming up with a try block here to see if you can get this to repeat. If the user enters a non-integer or a non-integer item. So just to prove what we're talking about, over here we're going to do under UI start over here under store, sorry. Under UI, I'm going to go here and I'm going to do int choice equals int min is 1, max is 5. Enter selection probably would be a better option. If I hit play on this, we see we get the enter selection. If I enter a number that I want, it's fine. It'll exit the program because we get to the bottom of our start. If I enter a number that's not allowed, like 19, it's going to ask again. -4 asks again. But if I type hello, my program crashes. This is a main thing we want to avoid. We want to avoid crashes, right? We do want to make sure we don't allow that, but we want to make sure we can catch those, handle that problem, and then allow the program to continue operating, right? We don't want the program to stop running when we run into one of these problems. And so I want to tell you now, what I want to clarify and make sure it's clear here is that I'm not expecting anyone to, no one is expected to get this right, technically. I want to see if you guys can figure it out. I'm going to give you the answer. You guys can definitely work on your drag race, but just give it like 30 minutes to an hour max. You'll have like 30 to 45 minutes tomorrow at the start of class. Try to look into a try catch system to see if you can handle this and make sure that if we do enter hello, it doesn't crash. Sound good? There we go. That's weird. Yes. The source class. UI class. There, that's up. So that's there. If you need it, you guys should also have it. You can code it down. So I want to try to get that work. So I'm going to do this here. Actually, forgot about that.
Try to catch them all.
All right, that's there now. That's what we want to try to do. Make sure that we do that parse int. If it fails, we do not, the program does not crash. It'll continue running again. It will ask again. Sound good? I'll let you guys have at it. Like I said, you'll have like 30, 45 minutes tomorrow. So if it's too late now to work on it tonight, that's fine. You can also feel free to work on your drag race today and tomorrow if you want to. This is already, so just so you know, this is leading into the interfacing. Because you do know that just to finish up the lesson, what does UI usually stand for?
User interface.
User interface.
Right, and we see that fun word in there, right? Interface. And so we're kind of already getting close to it. This is going to be our introduction to interfaces by using a most common interface, the user interface. So we're going to kind of start leading into that with this. Sound good?
Yep.
Cool. All right. I will see everyone tomorrow. Have a good night.
All right, see you tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah, may I share-
Good night,
Cliff,
everyone.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm hanging out. What's up?
Cliff, can I just share my screen real quick? I gotta
course.
figure out what's going on with it.
Definitely. I don't leave till everyone else does. So. In case anyone like this has a question to ask before it's over. So.
So why can't I get to format matter from
Did you
here?
import it?
Yes.
Huh, you did. Okay. And so what's it saying? So we scroll down and try to do, oh wait, is the method still private? Because the method we copied over was private. It doesn't seem upset with the item. It's just waiting for you to give it a method. Yep, the method is private.
It's
9.6.
public. Oh, the methods.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't have access, you weren't having a problem accessing the formatter class. You weren't
Yeah.
able to access the formatter method that you wanted. There you go. Beautiful. Now you just gotta give it the price you want to display, which one?
What is that?
Look at the method name. Get what?
I don't know. I forget now.
It's like, I got you. Gonna be like, oh right. Look at that again.
Get balance.
So what's the price? What's the value? What's the amount? What the value we're sending?
Balance.
Yeah. There you go. You get it. Beautiful.
Oh, something said it. Oh, this is set at double.
Yep. Nope. Double check the return type of the method.
String. Where
You
was
include
I?
the $sign in that, so yeah, store. There you go.
Awesome.
Beautiful. I'll try to get the video up as soon as I can.
Sounds good. All right.